Bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb. Scaredy cat. Welcome to Scaredy Cat. I'm Rob,
I'm Ash.
and this is the podcast where someone who loves horror films
And someone else who hates them.
just rip into one like a T-bone steak and just get all the ooey gooey pieces out.
Ew. That's all real gross. I think you could rip into it like a bag of chips.
Oh yeah, and or if it was Pringles, it could be you pop the top, and then once you pop, you can't stop. You got to finish them all.
I don't think we can say that.
Except
it's
for the
trademarked.
Pringles.
Once you pop, you can't stop. You can't say things like that.
I'm not trying to advertise for them. I don't think
I'm just.
I don't think that's copyright.
Okay.
I think it's okay.
Okay.
So this week, we're gonna go back and check out an oldie, a movie from 1983.
2 years before either of us were born.
Yes, Cujo. What do you think the film is about?
Well, I have a theory about this. We've touched on this before. So Cujo, I know some of it, right? Because I've seen like bits and pieces here and there. It's one of those movies where I think I've seen it, but I haven't actually, but I probably like know the gist just because, pop culture and stuff. So I think Cujo is a Saint Bernard, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like a dog gone rogue, and he
is he a spy? He's a secret spy.
he tries to kill a lady and her daughter. But so here's my theory. Okay, so I think that Cujo is really Beethoven. Do you remember Beethoven?
Mm-hmm.
The movie about the Saint Bernard puppy that the kids brought into the house, and then he got to be a huge fucking Saint Bernard. So I think those kids left and went to college, and Mom was left cleaning up all the fucking hair and drool, so she gave him to the local junkyard guy. And then he got real fucking mean because he missed the kids.
Well, would you like to know what the actual story is?
I mean, I guess. I think mine's more fun.
All right, so Cujo is another one of those Stephen King books that, the 200 plus movies that he's produced over his lifetime, been involved with in some way. The director is Louis Teague, and the stars were Dee Wallace, Daniel Hugh Kelly, and Danny Pintaro.
Dee Wallace, is she the lady who played the mom in E.T.?
I think that sounds right.
Close Encounters or something?
Let's check.
She played like a
E.T.,
mom.
she was the mom.
She played a mom in distress in like a lot of different films.
She was in Critters.
That's right. She's always like
A mom in distress.
Yeah, a mom when something really fucking horrible is happening, and she's got to protect all the kids.
She was in Chips, the show.
Chips, is that the one?
About the cops on the motorcycles?
The one with the dude and the other dude, were there motorcycle cops?
Yeah.
With the tight pants?
Yeah.
My granddaddy was a cop in that same era. He was not a motorcycle cop, but
Did he have tight pants?
He did actually wear tight pants.
She was also Miss Columbo from the TV series Miss Columbo.
Is that Columbo's wife?
So Miss Columbo was the wife of the famous lieutenant.
Aha!
She solves crimes as a reporter.
Fucking cool.
While raising her little daughter.
Fucking cool.
We might have to check that show out.
I think we do. Miss Columbo.
They had 13 episodes. Anyway.
I used to watch Columbo and Murder, She Wrote with my grandma.
So Dee Wallace, Mrs. Columbo, which is what I'll probably call her from now on.
She's fucking Columbo.
Miss Columbo.
She's Columbo
Oh,
too.
you just mean because of the patriarchy.
Because the patriarchy is a mess.
It's like he's Mr. Columbo.
Yeah, he's Mr. Columbo, she's Columbo.
Wait. If he was Mr. Columbo, then she would be Miss Columbo.
They can just both be Columbo. It's fine.
Okay. So Cujo... Columbo. it's going to permeate the whole thing.
We should start a separate podcast where we just talk about Columbo.
The Columbo podcast.
We can get trench coats. I love a good trench coat.
Cujo is the story of a friendly Saint Bernard.
I love dogs.
Who contracts rabies and conducts a reign of terror on a small Italian town. I read the book. I did. And I...
Did you?
I think at certain points I've seen the movie, but I can't remember everything about it, so... It'll be just like Cell, where I'm like, I think that was in the book, but I don't really know.
I remember it being on at various points in time throughout my childhood, but I don't remember actually sitting down and watching it. I just remember the dog just looked real dirty. He just needed a bath and a hug.
Well, we will watch it and find out if the dog does, in fact, just need a hug.
And a bath. Everybody feels better after a bath.
My prediction is that it'll be another one of those films where they try to make a dog that's not scary look scary, and it's not going to work. And then they're going to use sound effects to really oversell the idea that it's scary.
Oh, I don't like the noises.
So here we go.
That's the thing that bothers me. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit.
Who are you talking to?
I don't know. The people.
What people?
The people who are listening.
People listen to this?
I mean, not now.
I don't think ever. That's why as far as I know, we're just making this and throwing it out on the internet, and I don't think anybody's actually
Are we
listening to
just
it.
talking to each other?
Yeah.
We do that all the time anyway.
Giant microphones in the way of us talking to each other.
I just can't see you all the way. It's really distracting.
We have little slits between the microphone stands.
We've set them up nicely beside the couches so that we can chill.
Be comfortable, yes.
Yeah. Because we're better when we're comfortable. You don't want us when we're not. We're bitchy.
And it's not like our house has a lot of room.
It's a decent sized house.
I don't know where else we would do it.
We've lived in smaller places.
So it's better to do it at the couch.
I don't know why we're telling them this.
Maybe they care.
If you
But
care.
then again, they're not listening, so.
If you care, we live in a lovely townhouse.
It's okay. It's
On the
aight.
end. On the end unit.
Yeah, the end unit is the best one.
No shit, right? We're not all boxed in and crap.
But that's all they're going to find out for this episode.
Yeah, we'll give you little pieces.
Little snippets of personal
about
life
our
throughout.
house. Just like the decor.
Next time we'll tell them about the
vibe.
kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's real small. There's not much to tell.
They're short episodes. All right, we're going to watch this thing. We'll come back. All right, we're back. We just watched Cujo.
I'm so mad. Let's start from the very beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
The poster for this movie was fucking horrible.
Okay, what's horrible about
It just looks a mess. It looks a mess. They have Scary Snotty Dog on set. Nobody could have just taken a picture of Scary Snotty Dog being scary and snotty and popped it on the front.
The
we
dog...
gotta do some weird photoshopping. It looked weird.
Yeah, it almost looked like a werewolf of some kind.
I think they were trying to make him look scarier than he was.
But again, it's a Saint Bernard, which is part of the plot.
So then we have this title sequence that has blood going down a drain, I guess?
I think it's supposed to be like veins, like inside of a vein.
You think so?
I think that's, just overall just blood. But it was still a better title sequence than Cell. Because fuck Cell's title sequence.
He's still mad about Cell. So...
Starts off with a shot of a bunny running through a field.
I have opinions about bunnies.
Good opinions?
Bad ones. They're creepy.
What's wrong with bunnies?
Bunnies are mean as shit. When I was a little kid, our next door neighbor was kind of a wealthy retired guy. And he went through odd phases. For a while, he had exotic birds. For a while, he had homing pigeons. He taught them how to home or whatever.
I liked how to nest and and cook and clean
and he taught them French. It was really weird. But then he had bunnies and just a shit ton of rabbits. Rabbits poop continuously.
Well, rabbits and bunnies aren't the same thing.
I don't know. He had rabbits. They're fucking crazy.
So this little bunny fucker is running around.
Oh man, he's outsmarting the shit out of this dog.
Yeah, because Cujo shows up, the Saint Bernard, and
Cute,
he's chasing him around.
Fluffy, sweet looking Saint Bernard.
It did look like for a second it bit it, the rabbit, but then the next
Like it
second
let
it was
it go.
fine. Yeah, there was no blood or anything.
So the rabbit goes
So
into
I'm thinking he was gonna get rabies from the rabbit.
I was too. That's what I initially thought.
But then the rabbit runs in a hole. The Saint Bernard sticks his head in there, starts barking,
like a big dick.
which wakes up a whole bunch of bats that apparently sit in a little tiny hole in the ground.
It was a cave.
I wouldn't say that was a cave so much as just like a
I
rabbit
didn't.
hole.
I mean, I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
And the bats bite him on the nose.
One bat bites him on the nose.
Because there's a lot of bat hate out there. And bats are a minority that need to be protected.
What are you talking
It's true.
about?
Bats need protection because we spread these rumors about like bats being
That's
evil
true.
and
Bats are very important to the ecosystem. They had this. There are tons of bats in Austin, Texas, which is near where we're from. And this one summer, all these I don't know what a person who studies bats is called, but they all went out there to like try to protect these bats from extermination because they're very, very important.
yeah, and
For reals.
And all people ever say about bats is like, oh, they bite you, they carry rabies.
They don't. I mean, they don't bite you.
They don't like to bite people. It's not their thing. It's not their fave, but they will do it.
I mean, 99.9% of the time, you're not going to get bitten by a bat. And you're not going to get turned into a vampire.
So it bites him. It's obviously got rabies. So now Cujo runs off, and
because all bats have rabies.
Now we start the actual movie.
Hashtag not all bats.
Not my bat, President. So then we meet the family that we're going to be following around, who have a gorgeous house.
Oh my god.
In
fucking amazing.
A almost 17-story house with...
I think it was just 2 stories.
Yes, but it looked like...
It was a big-ass house.
And it was on the side of a cliff overlooking just gorgeous bits of Maine.
Maine is real pretty, apparently.
Because this story takes place in Castle Rock, Maine, which becomes like a... This is the first movie that started off the Castle Rock thing, which all Stephen King films typically take place in Castle Rock. And his books are written in the same place, typically. And I think I read that Castle Rock Entertainment came from that, like from that idea of like Castle Rock being...
The more you know.
We meet the kid, and his door opens.
Oh, fucking adorable little kid.
Probably like, what, 9, 8?
I would say like 5 or 6. He's just this blonde, floppy-haired, adorable little kid that looks a lot like our son.
Yeah.
And so this whole movie, I mean, I don't know about you, but the whole time I'm just seeing our son. And it's just like, oh.
He's scared of the dark.
He's got a creepy closet. So he does this thing.
The door is broken.
Oh, and it keeps swinging
keeps
open. Because his dad's an asshole.
Well, his dad won't fix shit.
So the kid does this thing that I think every single person has done at one point in their lives, where he stands by the light switch in his room and he calculates how long it's going to take him to run to his bed and how far away he needs to jump from the floor to the bed in order to not get eaten by whatever the fuck is living under his bed. For me, it was witches. Like, I saw little monsters when I was a kid, and I was terrified of going to the bathroom for too long and of shit under my bed. So he stands by the thing, he turns off the light, he runs and jumps into his bed and gets under the covers, and he's like, please don't let there be anything in my closet.
And for some reason, movie wants to use slow-mo to demonstrate him running to his bed.
Oh, but he was so cute. And his little floppy blonde hair.
Yeah.
He was freaking adorable.
You have super attractive 80s dad.
Oh.
With perm in his hair.
Freaking hot.
And then like a nice cut. Like he was well cut in this
chiseled.
film. Yeah.
And he's got like
he shows up with white
He's got like
pajama pants.
manscaped chest hair. And yes, in the drawstring white linen pants. I'm going to get you a pair of those. Those look nice.
So drawstring dad goes to the closet, checks it out. He's fine. But it's obvious to the dad because he like closes the door and it opens up and closes it again. Like it's obviously broken. So at that point, I'd be like, okay, time to go to sleep. And I'd come back with a screwdriver because I'm fucking fixing that door before I leave there.
So we had a similar problem to this in a house that we lived in once, and it was just because whoever had installed the door jamb had put the
door handle in backwards.
Yeah, they put the thing in backwards. So all you had to do was turn around. That's all you had to fucking do. It takes 5 minutes of your day. Yeah. And then the poor kid's not going to be scared to death every night.
So he goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning. You meet the friend of the family.
He's watching Scooby-Doo.
He's watching Scooby-Doo on an 80s
putting
television.
Copious amounts of sugar in his cereal.
There was no living room in this house. Now, keep in mind, this house is like 2 stories.
I think we just never went into the living room.
Right.
These are rich people. They got TVs in their kitchen.
This house is like 2 stories. It's probably an acre wide.
An acre? You think the house was an acre wide?
I'm being over facetious.
I think
I mean, it's a
so.
giant house.
It's a big house.
It's a giant house. Probably has like 4 or 5 rooms, like 4 or 5 bedrooms inside that house. And you only ever see a bedroom, their bedroom, and the kitchen.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not going to take us on a goddamn tour of the house.
If it was Kubrick, you'd have him on
Well,
like
yeah, but this
on a
isn't-
tricycle going around the entire building.
This isn't like House Hunters Maine. Like, we're not looking at all the walk-in closets and all the
I'm just saying,
stuff.
of a house that size, we could have seen some other rooms.
We could have, but we didn't need to. It wasn't necessary. In my notes, after I wrote down something about the dad being really hot, your pen broke.
Oh yeah, my pen fucked up.
It broke apart.
It just like it's shattered.
Rob's pen is part of the resistance. It was just like
it wasn't just like
goodbye.
it broke. It unscrewed
It
and the top fell
fell-
off, and then everything inside of it, which apparently is like 16 pieces,
It fell completely apart.
crumbled out of it. It's a mad dash trying to put this thing back while I'm having these thoughts that I can't write down. It was terrible.
It was very funny. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
You meet the boyfriend.
We don't know he's the boyfriend at this point.
We do from the second that beardy man walked in, we knew that he was a fucking.
He looks like a shitbag, doesn't he? He walks in.
The first thing he says is like, "I fixed this horse," which fuck that horse. That kid's not riding that fucking horse.
I mean, it looked like a carousel.
Like a carousel horse. That kid's way too old for that shit. He brings in the horse, and they're like, "Oh," the dad goes, "Oh, do we have a check for him?" We'll call him Fuckfez Von Beardy Man.
We'll just call him. We'll just call him Blonde Beard.
Chuck. Just call him Chuck.
We'll call him Blonde Beard.
And he's like, "Oh no, just pay me back when
I bring the
table," and then gives like this weird look at the mom, and you're like, "Oh, they're fucking."
Yeah, he walked in and he said something to her, and she like was like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah.
And like just it's real obvious, hun. So like if you're having an affair, just be fucking cordial like you would with anybody else, and no one will ever know.
The dad is a advertising manager of some kind or an advertising agent.
He's in advertising.
He works in advertising. They
So
put
then-
together this advertising campaign for a cereal.
Sharp.
Yes.
The Sharp account.
Right.
So then Blondebeard is like, "Hey, I'm ready to take you on at tennis again." And
Because they're fucking yuppies, and of course they play tennis.
all hot yuppies in the 80s played tennis. All of them.
That was
did.
after they got their perms.
It was a manly. I don't think that was a perm. I
That was
think
a
he
straight up
just
perm.
had real curly hair.
That was a perm.
Whatever it was gorgeous. So, anyways, so then Dad kicks Blondebeard's butt at tennis.
Was that what I thought it was the other way around? I thought Blondebeard kicked his ass.
No, remember? Because then the dad was
Because
like...
he was so happy. He was like, "Love, whatever." And I don't know how tennis is scored, so I have no idea what they were saying. But he looked really happy.
Well, no, because remember at the end the dad was like, we can play again if you want. And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and blah blah blah. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a masochist." So I got that, like, that's why he said that.
Well, a masochist is somebody who enjoys being in pain.
Right. So Beardy Man said that he's a masochist. So I assumed that he lost because I also do not know how tennis is
You're
scored.
right. They said the score, but I have no idea who
So
won.
I don't
from
know what that
Yeah.
means. So anyway, so then we cut to him playing a trombone in bed.
A rusty trombone.
No, it was
Fully
lubricated.
Straight up a rusty trombone.
so
He literally is in a bed playing a rusty trombone with the guy's wife.
yeah. So Beardy Man and Mom are straight up having an affair, and he is a dickhead and played a trombone to wake her up.
We only ever see him either in their house or in his bed.
'Cause he's a bum.
Straight up.
Get a job, motherfucker. So then we cut to her having dinner with her son, adorable blonde boy, and her hot husband. And
But now that we know that they're sleeping together, we're on the outside of the windows and we're coming through. Like we finally understand what's going on behind the mirrors. And behind the walls.
we already knew.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious.
So so they're sitting quietly at dinner, and Dad goes, So this marriage has run out of conversation, and she looks stunned. And then he goes, I think we should talk about having a second baby.
Because this is how we solve problems.
And it's like, no, we should not talk about it.
We have 2 kids, actually. We have 2 kids because we ran out of conversation twice.
That's right. Wait, no, only once. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
No, we talk constantly, probably too much, I think. That's what this is.
If we
That's what this is. We talk so much that we've decided
to share it
with other people,
or at least with ourselves when we go back and listen to these. But yes, we decided the next time that we stop having conversations, it's obviously time to have kids.
That's literally not what happened.
I don't understand how this was like permeated, the idea that a baby would save a marriage.
I mean, that was a pretty common mentality, like in that time period.
I know, but why?
Even
like, where did
now,
that come from?
to a certain extent. I don't know. Maybe it's just the idea of like a shared
experience
thing that you have to do.
Go hang gliding.
Like shared responsibility, maybe.
Fucking go base jumping. Like do something besides having a kid.
I don't know. Maybe therapy or like her stopping fucking the carpenter.
Fucking somebody else. Yeah.
That generally
Blonde
helps a lot.
man.
Yeah. So then the kid gets under the table and starts being goofy and distracts everybody, and it's adorable and hilarious.
Dads are cool, moms are mean.
This is, yes, in this movie, accurate. Mom fucks up at every turn.
I don't know if she kicked ass at the end. I mean...
We'll get there. I have opinions. We'll get
there. So yeah, dads are cool, moms are mean because the dad plays with him and the mom is just upset that they're, messing up the table.
Right, yeah. Because they're friends. The dad and the boy are friends.
Then we move on to the next scene. So dad shows up at a mechanic, and the mechanic's under the car, and he's like, hey, I was wondering if you could fix my car. And the guy's like, leave the keys and I'll call you back. And then the dad's like, I was kind of hoping I could get it done today. And he's like, are you serious? And he gets out underneath. And then the mailman, who
is fucking fabulous. He's got tight little shorts on. His hat is askew.
That's like a fucking adventurer's hat, man.
Yes, his hat is askew.
I think they should bring back those hats.
Black socks to his knees. This is your dad's fashion sense right here. Black socks to the knees. And he tells dad about a second mechanic out in the boonies, tells him how to get there, gives him directions, like real directions.
Tree to tree. There's a tree down at the end of that street.
And you'll see their mailbox and you can't miss it.
And then it's directly uphill for about 15 minutes.
I mean, like, the days before GPS, right? Like, whenever you used to actually have to tell people how to get places, it's fucking amazing. So dad apparently goes home, picks up his wife and his son, and then drives out to this mechanic.
Nor people have to delete sneezes from their podcasts.
Yeah.
We have to delete yawns.
I'm sorry.
Just every 5 minutes, Ashley's like,
I'm a sleepy person. Oh, so the kid is in the back seat of this convertible, not wearing a seatbelt.
Click it or ticket, motherfuckers.
No seatbelt at all. It's in a convertible.
Convertible, like Firebird or something?
No, it's a Jaguar.
That's right, he says it.
A convertible is the most dangerous vehicle known to man. It just is. Because if you roll, there's nothing up there. So putting your 50-pound, 7-year-old in the back seat of one without a fucking seatbelt on is the most irresponsible thing you can do.
But also very much a compensation vehicle.
Oh yeah, this is a
this
PP
is a
mobile.
rolling P and this is a rolling PP on the ground.
PP mobile. So, they talk to the mechanic, they meet the dog.
The mechanic, by the way, how dirty could you get for one scene as a mechanic? That's what he did. He's just like...
He bathed in it.
I wonder if Peter Knowling, who is the snot smear for this movie, I wonder if he also did his mechanic effects.
Maybe he did. But you know what? Being a mechanic is a dirty job.
They just bathe in grease. That's how it works.
It's a dirty job, but they're very talented individuals, really. I mean, that takes a special skill set.
And they're all abusive, too.
No, that's not true.
In movie land, a mechanic is always abusive.
But in real life, they're most of the time wonderful
people, I'm sure.
And they're great, and they keep our cars on the roads, and they're wonderful, and we love all of them.
But this movie makes it very apparent that this woman is trying to get away from this mechanic.
Well, I think it's more this bumpkin idea than it is. And I mean, we're from this town. Like, not...
This town right here?
Not in the...
Oh, the proverbial this town.
Right.
This town that this takes place in.
Right.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
We're from here. And so we know what they were trying to set up because we lived it.
And I would still hazard a guess that on the cutting room floor there's a scene of him smacking his wife.
Possibly, but I don't know. It just didn't seem like a smack your wife around kind of film.
Really? Because I mean, they set it up.
I think they were implying it without having to do it. Like, this is the good old 1980s, where everybody smacked their wife. So you just assumed that that's what was happening all the time. So they just built it up that way.
Well, the interesting thing was, in this film, usually if the wife is cheating, they're going to set it up as the husband is, a turd, like an absolute turd.
Did you say he's a turd?
I mean, but that's what they would set up, but they never do in this film.
No,
like,
he seems like a genuinely nice dude.
He might be a little bit obsessed with his work, but other than that, he's just a good dude.
I mean, other than the fact that he's taking his car into the shop to get a squeaky wheel looked at, meanwhile, her Pinto is breaking down every 5 minutes. And he's driving like $1 billion Jag. And she's driving a fucking Ford Pinto.
True. But he is working on it in one scene.
I mean, but really, he's paying for his squeaky wheel, but he's going to try and fix hers himself.
Let's just say Ford should never use this movie as advertisement for their Pintos.
I mean,
Because that thing is falling apart the whole fucking film.
I don't think they make Pintos anymore. And my mom had a Pinto. It was actually her first car, and I think she had a very similar experience. It was lime green.
Was she attacked by a dog and had to sit in it for 2 days?
Yep, it was when I was little. The whole thing happened to us. It's very scary. But it wasn't It wasn't a Saint Bernard. It was like a Chihuahua.
Poodle. Oh, okay.
Poodles are mean.
Poodles are fucking mean.
It's those big old standard poodles. They're too smart. They're smart and they're scary. Anyways, so
he fixed the problem with the car.
Right.
And we move on to the next scene.
But wait, we met the dog.
Yes, Cujo shows up.
Cujo, he's nice.
He's got a little zit on his nose right now. No snot at this point.
It's more like a gaping wound.
It's a puncture. Like, it's just a little red spot. Nobody seems to notice. They're just like...
The mechanic's kid is like, hey,
come
pet my dog.
He's a great dog.
And so they pet the dog. He seems fine. The mom seems leery of it, though. She's like, hey.
Well, she sees the zit. She sees...
It's not a zit.
She sees the little puncture on his nose.
It is a wound.
She probably also just doesn't like dogs.
I think it was just because
they don't have a dog. So they don't have a dog. So she must not like dogs.
People that don't like dogs
are my kind of people.
You just never know about these people.
You find out the kid's name is Tad.
Which is a cute name.
That is a douchey name.
He's a tadpole.
Oh, that's why you kept calling him Tadpole. I get it now. Okay.
What did you think?
I never put that together. I was like, why did they call it a Tadpole?
Glad I could help.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then we go home, and Dad does a monster exorcism in the little boy's room.
Yes, because dads are cool, moms are mean.
Adorable. He's carrying the kid around. He's walking through the closet, shining a flashlight on everything. He's like, monsters be gone from Tad's room. There are no monsters in Tad's closet.
But there's obviously something wrong in marital bliss land because
something's rotten in Denver.
Because she's very tired at night, and he's starting to notice that they're pulling away. And then she goes to sleep in like the most uncomfortable position ever.
Flat on her back with her hands crossed across her chest. Nobody sleeps like that.
Dracula sleeps like
If
that.
anybody does, they're probably a vampire, and you should get out immediately.
Um,
Okay, so then the next morning
yes.
is when the shit hits the proverbial fan with this cereal company. So dad's upset because kids are peeing and vomiting red dye, and parents are taking their kids to the hospital because they think they have internal hemorrhaging.
And for some reason, he thinks this is all linked to the ad campaign, when really it's
Well,
linked to the cereal.
I think it's just
The ad campaign, it's a doctor that says, trust me, there's nothing wrong here or something, which I don't think is a great slogan anyway.
no.
But
That's terrible. And it's lame. It's real lame.
So he runs up and he hits the TV and it turns off. I wrote down that that's not actually him being angry. It's just that's how they had to turn off TVs in the 80s. You had to slam the button so fucking hard that your hand broke. We cut back to the mechanic. And on the farm, he comes home.
Mom is driving. No, Mom drives out to the mechanics.
No. This is just the mechanics by themselves. This is when the mechanic shows up. He finds out he's got a brand new engine block lift in his garage that upsets him. He runs into the house and he sits down for dinner. And he's like, "What is this crap? What'd you buy?" And she's like, "Oh, I won the lottery." And
she won $5,000 in the lottery.
Yeah, and so she got him a gift. And she's like, "Now you have to give me a gift. I want to take the boy to see my sisters for a week in Kansas for a week." And
they're in Maine. That is quite a jaunt from Maine to Kansas.
So,
but in between this, the mom goes back out to the mechanics.
Well, before that, she goes to break up with Beardy Man.
Have we done that?
Because she picks him up right after that.
You're right. Yes. So
the dad's upset. Okay, so that means we missed quite a bit.
So back up.
So they go from the scene in the bedroom to next day when he's upset about the cereal campaign. He's driving home, and she goes to go break up with Beardy Man because reasons.
She's decided that she doesn't like this. She doesn't want to do this anymore. So she goes. He's laying in
his bed where he always
like
lays.
a fucking bum, and she walks in, and he's like, "Oh, come lay down with me.
Come lay in the bed that we share together."
And she's like, "No."
And I'll play my trombone for you.
She's like, "No, we're over. I'm finished."
She's like, "I don't like that song."
And he's like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah, whatever you want. As soon as she walks out the door, he's like, "Son of a bitch, I'm gonna get my pants on."
He puts on his pants. He runs out the door without a shirt and without any shoes on. Runs across the street.
So Dad's in the Jaguar, and he's driving down the road, and he happens to glance over and see that she's over at her Pinto, and he's like
grabbing her,
which comes back into play later.
Because he's a big fucking dick.
Bit rapey. Bit on the rapey side.
Like 100% on the rapey side. He's like, "Why don't you want to be with me?"
So he drives by, and then in a very good driving move, he waits for people to pass. Like, he waits for the perfect place to turn around. So he's sitting there, and then he turns around, and there was a huge gap. A huge gap when he turns. And then even though he waits for that huge gap, the car behind him still honks at him. And I wrote down, "Motherfucker, you had plenty of room." Because he had fucking plenty of room. So he turns around, comes back, and by the time he gets back, she's already gone.
Right.
Then she's at the school picking him up, and she makes him put on the seatbelt. You find out the car is just not working correctly.
It's leaping.
Yep. He has a scratch on his forehead when she picks him up from school.
Yeah.
This is the time period where the school would not call you about every single scrape and scratch.
Oh, man.
To let you know.
One time, our son fell on the playground at school. I got a call, like a phone call, that he fell and he, like, scraped his knuckle. And then I got a detailed note whenever I got there that I had to sign that, like, told us the exact location and that it was, like, 3/4 of an inch long from his first knuckle to his second. And, like, what he, like, was wearing when it happened. Like, it was all just, it was a lot of information.
But I'm pretty sure back when I was in high school, or back when I was in school, like elementary school, I could have chopped something off, maybe like my pinky, and they wouldn't have said shit.
You got a little note pinned to your shirt. Rob fell today. And then...
He had a little boo-boo. The mechanic's wife is now getting ready to go. The son has a run-in with Cujo, and it's obvious that something's wrong. Cujo almost bites him.
Poor fucking dog has been sitting there for days.
He's now got some snotty and some bloodshot eyes.
He just looks awful. He looks a mess. So the kid's walking through the mist trying to find the poor dog.
Yeah.
And
he walked out of his movie and into the fog, into John Carpenter's The Fog, to try to find this dog.
It was very misty. So he walks through the fog and he finds the dog. Ooh, that rhymed.
It did.
And the dog is like growling at him, and he's like, Cujo, it's me, Danny, or whatever the fuck his name was.
He has red blood snot all over his body.
Yes.
And the kid's like, oh, let me pet your forehead. Cujo's like, maybe that's a bad idea.
He was concerned about him. I would probably do the same thing.
So Cujo thought better of it and ran off.
Well, he recognized his boy, which is adorable. If only the boy had been there the rest of the time.
I feel like that was the last time that Cujo would have stopped that. The next time he would have just killed him.
I guess. But it was sweet that he recognized his boy and he didn't eat him.
The kid and the mom leave. The dad has a friend over to talk about like going and having parties and shit.
They're going to go get some hookers in Boston.
Yeah, and...
in Boston, which is like 8 hours away.
And Cujo, who is now quite snotty and bloody, is laying below them.
Like underneath the table.
And the camera is switching between a low view, like the dog's view, up at them, and then an overhead view straight down at them. Mm-hmm. And they're making lots of noise, and Cujo is like flinching at every single noise, and it's just like you can tell the world is getting to him. Like he's basically the Grinch at this point. It's like the noise, the noise, the noise,
I feel
noise,
like that
noise.
Some days where it's just like if I hear one more sound, I'm
gonna bite their fucking faces off.
wreck somebody.
I'm gonna snot up everything. Just snot everywhere.
I mean, that's just St. Bernards in general. They're pretty snotty.
Yeah, when they introduced the dog, the very first shot of it had like drool coming down.
I mean, they're just drooly dogs. He's got those jowls. It's hard to contain.
Too much drool for one dog.
You would drool like that too if you had big old jowls.
I do drool.
That's true, you do. In your sleep, but only when you're really tired. We switch back to our family. And we find out that Dad is leaving for 10 days to go...
save the Sharp account.
Right. The boy's real upset about it because Mom's a bitch. And Dad's his buddy.
We missed the rapey scene.
No, we're not there yet.
No, because that's when he's leaving, after he's leaving.
You're right. Man, we are fucking skipping all over the place here.
Terrible in this one. So, boyfriend walks in. Boyfriend that she's already broken up with. Mm-hmm. He comes into the house.
Okay, so kids at school, Dad's at work.
Dad shows up. Surprise, surprise.
Dad shows up to the kids' summer camp to pick him up.
I don't think this is our fault. I don't think it's our fault that we fucked up this whole timeline because I don't think even Movie knew what the timeline was.
No, I mean, it was very succinct.
No, because the dad from this point, the dad picks him up from school, and without like teachers even recognizing that the kid is gone, he just like whisks him away.
Well, it was the 80s.
He just whisks him away from the school. And then that's the last we see of them. Cut back to the house where the mom is in the kitchen, I guess, doing dishes.
Who the fuck knows?
I think she just like would mope from place to place in her bathrobe.
It looked like laundry, maybe.
So she's going around her kitchen, and boyfriend shows up. He's obviously not done. He thinks that he can save this thing, and he tries
I don't think he really wants to save the relationship. I think
Right.
he's trying to assert dominance.
Right. He gets awful pushy to the point of where she's telling him no, and he starts trying to like molest her.
He forces himself on her. He like forcibly kisses her and then puts his hand up her dress.
Which in the 80s, I guess, was not rape.
That's romantic.
Attempted rape.
That was romantic in the 80s.
Yeah, this is not sexual assault at this
He
point.
just loved her so much that he couldn't help himself.
Today, a man trying to do this is a sexual assault, and you should call the cops.
Because that's what it is.
And as a husband, if I come home and my wife's on the ground because a man had just tried to sexually assault her, and then when she knocked over the cup, he's like, "Look what you made me do." Like, this is also bullshit man thing. When my wife is like, "Why are you on the?" When my wife tells me that they're sleeping together, and then I ask, "Why are you on the ground?" It's like, "Oh, because he tried to rape me just now." then you go, okay, well, let's call the cops.
Well, you get the idea that they didn't have the best communication ever.
That's why they're having a baby.
And it's the 80s.
They hadn't had the baby yet, so, communication
so they
was bad.
couldn't talk.
But this is what I'm talking about with the timeline, because when the boyfriend comes in, he asks her where Tadpole is, and she says he's upstairs taking a nap.
She was lying to him so he would leave.
You think that's what it was?
Yeah.
See, I was just confused. I was like, wait a second, didn't he just pick up the...
No, she told him that so he'd leave. So he'd
Well, it didn't work.
No, he's an ass.
Then the dad's leaving. The son tries to stop him. Well, they have the scene where he tries to fix the Pinto, but he can't. Then he's leaving. Son tries to stop him. Oh, wait, no, this is when the guy gets killed. This film was a mess, man. I needed to, write down an outline of what happened when.
I thought that's what you were
Jesus
doing.
Christ.
So we cut back to the farm, the mechanic's farm, where the dog is. So mom and son are gone.
Mm.
Mechanic
Who knows
dad.
what the fuck he's doing, because we're only focusing on the guy at this point.
Right.
His friend Gary, that he's going to run away with.
Right.
He's
They're going to go to
bringing his
Boston and
trash
get
out.
some gonorrhea hookers.
He's
is what they
bringing
call
his
them.
trash out, which apparently they don't take out to the curb. He just dumps it over the side of his trash can,
So
creating a mountain of trash.
So I have a theory here.
Okay.
I think Cujo is,
An environmentalist?
yes, he's a climate warrior.
Climate warrior.
He was fucking pissed because this asshole is just throwing trash all over the place.
He heard
and
that...
3/4 of what he threw in the garbage was recyclable. And this is why there is a hole in the ozone layer the size of Korea. Because fucking assholes throw their trash everywhere and nobody recycles anything. Do you know?
The Muffin Man?
Plastic takes 100 years to decompose. Recycle your shit. It takes 5 extra minutes of your fucking life. Save the planet. The only thing that could have stopped all of this was one motherfucker looking at the dog and being like, hey, he doesn't look well.
Yeah.
Let's take him to the vet.
Even as he's petting him when he's sitting under the table, it's like, just look at his face. There's snot and red
Just
juice
one human being
all over this thing.
showing an ounce of compassion for this poor dog.
At first, I was like, oh, they're going to try to make him scary. But I don't think that was ever the intention. The intention was not to make him scary. I think you were just supposed to feel sorry for him.
I felt real bad for him.
Supposed to feel sorry for this dog because it's just covered in gook and snot and
blood mud.
blood mud. So anyway, so Cujo's outside Gary's house and he sees Gary, doesn't like Gary,
Because
and
Gary's
decides
a
to bite his
fucking
face
prick.
off.
And he does.
Gary didn't do much at this point. He just wants to go have a good time with his friend.
That's enough. That's enough. I mean, it's all recyclable.
So he attacks him. Gary's on the porch, yelling the weirdest thing, the weirdest line of this whole movie. He yells at the dog, "I don't give a shit." I don't give a shit. The dog just bit him, and he's like, "I don't give a shit." How does that work?
I don't know.
What don't you give a shit about? The fact that the dog just bit you? Or are you trying to say that you're just too tough for that? Because you look pretty fucking scared, but you're like, I don't give a shit. Maybe he's trying to say that he doesn't give a shit because it's his friend's dog. He's going to kill him anyway because he doesn't give a shit. But you don't get that from just, I don't give a shit.
I think it was male ego, false vibrato, come at me, bro. I don't give a shit. What happens?
I would like to go back and read the book and see if that's the line that he uses. Maybe that was a send up to the book.
I feel like it's not. I don't feel like that's something Stephen King would write.
It was just so awkward. Just, I don't give a shit.
It was a weird.
I don't give a shit.
It was a weird statement. But I guess whenever you're under that kind of stress, you don't know what the fuck you're going to say. You could just be like, eggs are better toasted. And then...
Toasty eggs and milk and cheese.
And then, you don't even know.
Then the dad's out whistling for the dog because before they left, the son asked him to feed the dog.
Mechanic dad, not our dad.
You know what I just realized? So him putting all that food, he was going to leave, right?
Right.
So he dumps all the food in the bucket. And I think that was a setup to say, okay, the reason the dog can keep them all there is because he has a steady supply of food right there.
So mechanic
Mechanic
dad
guy goes
goes to
looking for
find his
Gary.
friend
Mhm.
so they can leave to go to Boston to get some gonorrhea hookers,
Is
sex
significantly
workers.
freaked out to find out that Gary has been bitten to death.
Right.
Goes to call the police, but needs to rifle through a phone book.
911 is hard to remember.
Could have completely called 911, maybe gotten out, my friend is dead, but instead he's rifling through a phone book, and Cujo comes out and kills him
Right.
off screen.
Yes.
Then we go back to the dad leaving for his trip. Let me go ahead and get through. You're on there.
Sorry.
Dad's leaving for his trip.
Very cute, telling the kid goodbye.
Tells the kid goodbye. Doesn't really make eye contact with the mom because now he knows that she's been cheating on him. And he starts to drive off. Mom chases after him, tells him it's over. You find out after the dad leaves that Pintos really, really suck.
So she drove out to the mechanics for this car without calling first.
Yep.
Again,
nobody calls it this
a
phone.
lot of things could be solved if you would call first. You can't. And this mechanic, his shop is at his home. You can't just show up. This is some rich people shit where they have no relationship with this man. He fixed a squeaky wheel one time, and she's like, "Oh, I can just show up at his house on a Saturday and he's going to fix my car." Call ahead.
That's why they have yellow pages. And obviously they
At
had a
this point
phone
in time.
book.
Right.
So the dog attacks, and she's rolling up the window, and the dog's head gets stuck in the window. And even though this dog is supposed to be like attacking them and grizzly, like I've just felt sorry for the dog.
I know. It was like, let him get his head out.
Yeah. And then the dog is holding them hostage, basically.
Yes.
It goes on for like 2 days.
What do you call it? He's chicken guarding them.
Before they've been stuck there for 2 days, she tries the car. She gets it going. She's super excited. She pulls forward, and then she stops to put it in reverse. And she tells the dog to go fuck itself or something. And then she starts to back up, and the car dies on her. And then they go to a wide shot, and you can see that she had plenty of room to just fucking drive forward. She didn't have to put it in reverse.
And you didn't have to stop for a second to tell the dog to go fuck itself. You
Nope.
could do that on your way out the driveway.
Also, this is all uphill. You could just put that shit in neutral, Flintstone the fucker out of there, just and run.
Yeah. So Cujo is real interested in getting in there.
Oh yeah,
He'll randomly ram the car with his head or...
like a battering ram.
Yeah.
And then the Pinto just falls to pieces. Like, these are not well-made cars.
Well, I mean, he's a big fucking dog. And he's angry. So then the house phone rings, and it drives him bananas. And then he starts ramming the car. He cracks the passenger side window.
Oh,
The kid is screaming.
every time this happens, the kid just melts to pieces. Like,
I
he's
mean, which
screaming
is
about wanting to go
understandable.
home.
That's
Oh,
horrifying.
that was probably the worst part of it all. Just like the kid's reaction to that, because
Yeah.
it is real. Like,
Yeah.
I almost feel like they didn't tell him what was going to happen, because that's some real reactions.
It was so sad. I could just see either one of our kids and how they would react to that. And it just, ugh, man, it sucked.
Holy shit, the kid's starting to have seizures in the car.
Oh gosh, man. This is the point where I started to get mad at her. It's like, do something. You can't just sit there. I mean, this is not a plan. Obviously, no one is coming. You're in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows where you are. Fucking do something.
She
Take
literally
charge.
waits until the son stops breathing. And then she starts going, I have to save my son.
It's like, where the fuck were you 2
I
days
have to
ago?
save my son. Like, this is too late. A cop had already showed up, and she just watched him get eaten.
Yes.
And that would be a great opportunity to be like, hey,
Oh, wait.
Cujo's in there eating that guy.
Wait, the reason the cop came.
Yeah, so
So dad's on a business trip.
he leaves the business trip. He's starting to get worried. He hasn't heard from his wife in 2 days. He leaves a business trip, comes home, finds out that the boyfriend had come to their house and just ripped their entire house to shit, left feathers everywhere from their
He
pillows
ripped
and
up
shit.
their mattress.
So he's convinced that this guy has now kidnapped his wife and kid. They send the sheriff out to the mechanic's house to see what's going on out there. The sheriff shows up. gets eaten by the dog. The mom just sits there and watches this happen.
Well, I mean, because the dog comes towards her, and then he goes back over to the sheriff and, like, fully eats him. But it's like, while he's over there eating eating the sheriff, you could quietly sneak over to the cop car and radio for help. That is entirely possible.
Which, by the way,
this is a smart thing to do.
The cop shows up. He looks around. He sees that there's a Pinto with, like, blood smears on the side of it.
Is not concerned.
Picks up his radio. He's about to call it in. And then he hears a noise. And I guarantee you, in every police handbook, it says, suspicious activity, report, and then investigate. What does he do? Puts the fucking radio back.
Again, male ego. You need to tell someone.
This is Larry. I'm gonna go investigate this weird noise that I just heard in the garage. I'm pretty sure it's a dog with rabies. Over.
I'm going to die, just so you know.
just if you don't hear from me in the next 5 seconds, I'm dead.
Please feed my hamster.
I'm gonna hang from some rafters for a bit, and then the dog's gonna karate chop me in the face, and I'm gonna die.
But you gotta let people know what you're doing.
So, he gets karate chopped in the face and dies. She just lets that happen.
I mean, what the fuck is she supposed to do?
This was a great opportunity to run to his car.
2 days dehydrated. She's
True.
probably not thinking clearly. But it's still just, like, maddening.
She had also been bit by the dog. Like,
oh, right. We didn't
had,
talk
like,
about this.
When he was ramming the side, he got into the car. She got out to try to stop. He got into the car. He bit her in the leg.
Oh, you think she has rabies?
She's got some rabies in her now.
Oh, she's going to have to get shots in her tummy.
Oh, those are the worst.
Do you remember when someone that you worked with got bit by a dog at a dog park and had to get rabies shots in her tummy?
Gigantic shot in the stomach.
Wasn't it like just like a little tiny piece of shit dog? Oh, that's funny.
So the husband, they tell him that they caught the boyfriend. He didn't have him.
He admitted to ransacking the house.
So this official is like, he's like, did you hear from the sheriff yet? From Larry. And the guy's like, the official goes, oh no, we're waiting. He's probably investigating some lead. It's like, hang on a second, fellas.
So Hot Dad is like, the fuck he is.
And then just bolts.
He gets in his
In his brain, he's thinking, I will not communicate my intentions. I will not tell them where I'm going.
There's zero communication in this whole movie. Everything could have been solved by just someone talking to someone else.
Also, up until this point, the mom's entire direction for this film was whisper everything.
I think that's just how she talks.
You think like she was just real timid, like they were just building up like she was super timid?
No, like in every movie that I've ever seen her in, that's just how she talks. Like that's just her pentameter. That's just how she is.
All right, so the dad is racing off to see them.
Yes.
The mom wakes up from another nap, and the son is not breathing, basically. So she's at this point, in her head, she starts repeating, I must save my son. She gets out of the car. She starts walking towards the door. The dog comes out from underneath the porch, and then we have a Western-style showdown, like a Mexican standoff of these two staring at each other. She grabs a bat. And she's whacking the dog pretty good with the bat. And then the bat breaks, and the dog jumps on her, and she stabs the dog, and it dies.
Right.
Pushes it off her. Can't get into the car because she locked her damn keys in the car.
No, because whenever he rammed the car, he jammed the door, and then the other door, he bit off the door handle.
He bit the door handle off the other side.
So she couldn't.
Which again, poor dog. That must have hurt his fucking teeth.
I bet it did.
And it looked like they really had the dog rip the door handle off.
Well, I'm sure they loosened it. I'm sure he
Hopefully it wasn't even a real door handle.
Hopefully.
Maybe it was like a chew toy dressed up as a door handle.
Hopefully. So they, earlier in the movie, the dog has partially shattered the passenger side window. So my thought is just go over there and knock it out because you've got your baby laying in the back of the car. Yeah. So she decides to go to the back window of the car, which is fucking huge, and shatter that with
it's a hatchback.
Right. So she does that, but it's like, this is fucking stupid. Now there's glass all over your kid.
They pick it out of his teeth.
Also, she's laying in the front seat in the shade before she gets out of the car. She's got her son laying in full sunlight, dehydrated.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Learn something.
Pretty terrible.
Read a book.
So she gathers up the son, takes him inside, gives him mouth to mouth, and resuscitates him. And they're holding each other, and I look at you and I say, if this is a true horror film, the dog is not dead yet. And seconds later, the dog crashes through the window, and you jump a fucking mile.
I did, and I even knew it was coming. Like, it was bad.
Oh, also, when she was resuscitating him, the shot lingered real hard on that box of Kellogg's cornflakes that's on the table.
I didn't notice
Like,
that.
she pushes everything else off the table, but the Kellogg's and the milk.
The poor little boy, though, like in real life, while she's resuscitating him, she's also slobbering all over his face. Can you imagine being like a
gobs of
6-year-old
goo.
boy and they're like, okay, this lady is going to make out with you for 10 minutes and she's going to spit all over your face. And
Yeah.
you have to lay there and pretend to be unconscious. Do not crinkle your nose.
So she had grabbed the cop's gun, and she
earlier,
grabs
yeah.
it whenever Cujo breaks through the window. She grabs it and she fires at him. You don't see what happens. The dad shows up. He's getting freaked out when he sees the car. He's yelling for her. She comes to the door holding the kid. So you don't know if the kid's alive or dead. You don't know if she's like shot
I'm
or
pretty
got
sure
bit.
that the kid was alive.
But you don't know. You
Oh,
don't know
true.
anything at this point. He runs up there, and they look at each other.
And then
him,
it ends.
And then it just freeze frames on it, and the credits roll. Not even like a second where you would say, okay, I could freeze frame on this frame, and it would make sense. It's like as she's passing the kid off to him. So many unanswered questions. Like, is the kid dead?
No, I think he was definitely alive.
He looked pretty unconscious.
He was just tired. I mean, he didn't have anything to eat or drink in a couple of days. He's been in a hot car this whole time in direct sunlight because his mom's a dickhole.
Do they get a divorce? Does she get pregnant again?
Do they have another baby to save their marriage? Who knows?
Exactly. These are questions that were not answered by this movie.
I feel like, so I'll tell you what happens.
Is the wife of the mechanic relieved to find out that he's dead?
Does she stay with her sister? in
Was she ever
Kansas?
planning on coming back?
No, she was not.
She was not. She was not coming
When
back.
she was packing her bags, she was putting family photo albums in her suitcase.
She was not coming
Bitch
back.
was never coming back to Maine. She's staying in Kansas with her sister. Poor kid, though. He's never going to know what happened to his dog.
Did
which is
Beardy
probably
Man
for the
ever
best.
stop sleeping all day?
No, I think Beardy Man's...
Going to jail?
No, I mean, it's the 80s.
Well, I mean, he did destroy their property. It's got to be a little bit of jail time.
Probably got, like, a
Maybe
fine.
a fine. Maybe he's not allowed to play tennis for like 5 weeks.
Maybe he had to wear long pants for 3 months.
He has to teach tennis to a bunch of inner city schools.
Oh, that's a good thing. I like that.
Does the bunny make it?
Yeah, the bunny's fine. Unless it got bitten by the bats.
Does Gary's
if-
trash ever get taken out?
Cujo 2 is the bunny.
Does Gary's trash ever get taken out?
No, these people are monsters. Ecological monsters.
Was it a telemarketer that was calling on the phone?
Yeah, who the fuck kept calling?
Bill collector.
I knew who it was. It was the son. Because remember before they were leaving, the mom
Oh,
was
call
like, you
to
gotta call him and say, hey,
remind
Dad, are
him.
you feeding my dog?
Yeah. Probably was the son. Little fucker.
Oh, that's so sad.
Almost
Poor
got them
baby.
killed.
He didn't know.
Do they make one of those little paw plates for Cujo? Now that he's dead.
Aw.
Do they get a new Saint Bernard? Or do they decide that maybe Saint Bernards aren't the right dog for them? And they get a little dachshund.
This is a sad conversation. I don't like this.
Um,
They should get another Saint Bernard because it would make the boy happy. It would help with his grieving.
I don't think it would. I think it's just delaying the grief.
I think it would help with
You
the
can't
grieving.
replace Cujo.
Stop playing with your pages.
Sorry. You can't replace Cujo. You have to
But you
find
can get a dog that's similar enough
that you can
to
pretend like it's Cujo.
No, not pretend like it's Cujo, but it'll help. You know, because it's something familiar. People do it all the time.
Yeah, but when Cujos are fucking hairy as shit and slobbery as shit, and it gets snot all over itself.
But he had, before he got rabies, right? Before he got the rabies,
Mm.
he was a good dog.
So is Old Yeller.
and he was sweet, and he took care of his boy.
Do you think in Old Yeller they got another Old Yeller?
I think it was the West, and whatever the fuck came out there is what they got. But what I'm saying to you is, if you have the opportunity to get another Saint Bernard to help with the grieving process of the kid, you should, because it's the right thing to do. Because you're not the only person in all of this.
Also, did they ever call the family to tell them about Cujo?
Who?
I guess they would have had to. Like, they would have had to call the wife to tell them about the
How would they
mechanic
have
dad.
known how to get a hold of her?
I don't know. These are the questions.
These are the questions.
Now it's time to rate this film.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5 snotty dogs, how scary is this film?
I don't know, like a 3 or a 4. It's not super scary. It's kind of tense
I
in
thought
some
5
places.
would be scariest.
Huh?
5 scariest, right?
Right.
So it's a 4?
I think a 3 or a 4, maybe.
I'd put it like a 2.
It's not super scary. It's tense, though. Like, there are parts of it that are tense.
Moments.
It's more frustrating than anything else because you're just like, fucking do something. Stop wallowing in self-pity.
For a movie that's
and
only
get
like
out.
an hour 30 minutes, it is slow paced.
I don't know, man. There was a lot of shit that happened.
But it's not like action. Like, if you think about it, there's only 3 people that get killed. And it all happens.
Which is fine.
I want some blood, man. Give me
I
some blood
don't
quartz.
need it.
Need a
I
good
don't
horror
need
movie.
it.
Need a good zombie movie or something in here.
Blech.
I don't know, give it 2.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5, snotty dogs, how nightmare-inducing is this film?
Like a 1.
No nightmares from this dog?
No. I like dogs.
I mean, I felt sorry for Cujo
I
the
know.
whole way through.
I loved him in the beginning. He just seemed so sweet. I love big, fluffy dogs. They're my favorite kinds of dogs. And so, he just seemed like a good family dog to me, who just had a bum rap. Like, he had some shitty owners that didn't take care of him, and then all this bad stuff happened because of it.
I'm a bit neglectful.
It was their fault.
Yeah, I give it a 0.5 for the
It's
nightmare.
It's not nightmare inducing at all.
Scale of 1 to 5, how gross was this film?
Well, the amount of snot on this poor dog
lot
was
of snot.
kind of nasty.
I wrote it down.
It was like yellow.
Peter Knowlton was the snot smear extraordinaire on this film. He was known as the special effects makeup artist, so snot smear.
I don't know. I guess maybe like a 2. Snot's gross. Wipe your nose. Oh, I guess we have to do the Bechdel test.
Mm-hmm.
So, in case...
There was only one female in this whole
Well,
film.
hang on. In case you're new
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know what it is, the Bechdel test is a test that measures, like, how, like, lady-friendly a movie is. So, if there are... First of all, there has to be more than one woman in a film. And if there is more than one woman in a film, do the 2 or more women interact with each other and talk about something other than a man? This movie had 2 women in it. The mom and the mechanic's wife.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Neither of them... Oh, no, that's not true.
They did talk.
They did talk. When they first came to the mechanics to get the squeaky wheel fixed,
She asked her if she wanted a meal.
she was plucking a chicken.
Mm.
She asked her if she wanted a drink of water. Does that pass?
Did she at any point in that conversation say she had to go to get dinner ready or anything like that?
No.
Maybe it does pass then.
I don't feel like it should.
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like that's a technicality.
It did feel like a technicality. Like, there's
But
literally...
I mean, to be fair, I don't know where else you would have put a woman, because it's a really small cast.
We'll give it an honorable mention. This is a film that, if it happened today, a cell phone would have solved all the problems. And
Or
that's
one
it.
person looking around them and noticing what the fuck is happening?
I just really hope that Cujo was not harmed.
Oh, man. I hope he's okay. I mean,
Saint
he's
Bernard.
definitely dead now because he was an adult dog. And
Oh,
this
Jesus,
was
yeah.
a very
It's
long
23
years ago.
24 years ago.
But I think we should get a St. Bernard.
Wait a second. 34 years ago.
That's right.
Because I'm 31.
Man, math is hard.
This whole thing I've been saying 24.
It's okay. Math is hard.
Final thoughts?
I don't know. Pay attention to your dog. If it's got a sore,
If it starts developing a lot of snot, take it to the vet.
if it's got a sore on it, treat the sore, take it to the vet, have it looked at. Avoid a lot of heartache. Just take care of your animal. And if you're not prepared to take care of your animal, don't get one. Easy peasy.
And always spay and neuter.
That's true. That's actually very important. You should always do that. And recycle.
And if a dog bites you and it has a lot of snot and like blood pus on it, get the rabies shot.
Even though it's in your tum and it's going to be unpleasant.
So if you want to reach out to us and suggest a film or even a comment, we are available on Twitter now.
Do we Twitter?
We tweet.
We do?
have- I tweeted twice today
Oh my god.
and gave out some tweets. I tweeted it.
We're also on
It's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All Scaredy Cat Pod. That's SCAREDYCATPOD.
if you have any sort of suggestions or comments or you want to talk about your dogs, send us pictures of your dog. I love dogs.
Ashley does love dogs.
Especially big fluffy ones.
If you want to tweet at us, you at Scaredy Cat Pod.
At Scaredy Cat Pod on Instagram, you can add us or whatever the fuck.
And
you
Facebook,
can,
I think you do the same thing too.
I don't know.
At Scaredy Cat Pod.
I don't even know. But hashtag it just
Scaredy
for
Cat
fun.
Pod.
Scaredy Cat Pod. Send us all the pictures of your dogs. I'm so excited now.
Okay. All right, with that, we're done.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios, muchachos.
It's not muchacho.
I'm saying it from now on.